we go. Very cool. The baby's participating as well, so let's get going. We have a packed agenda tonight, so this is good. Welcome back. We've been out for a while. Let's get rolling. So first thing first, do we happen to have any candidates for political office or any self-introductions in general? Anybody like to say anything? Please raise your hand. Oh, and it looks like I need to promote somebody here as well.
Pam's got her hand raised.
I promoted her and she can speak now, hopefully. There we go. Hi, Pam. Welcome.
Good evening. I just wanted to say hello to everybody. I'm not a candidate, but I do want to say hello. And I had a little trouble logging in, so I'll be here during the meeting, but I don't need to speak anymore. And good luck with that headphone. Ah!
Okay, anyone else? Raise your hand, please. All right, nothing seen. Nothing seen. Okay. All right, I think we have a second bullet point on here, which is about CPO7 leadership, which is a pretty simple message here. We need volunteers. We do need leadership positions to be filled. There are many babies and not enough time, unfortunately. So if you're interested in filling a post, please get in touch with Mary or I, and we would absolutely welcome your help. So thank you. Let's see. Other than that, rolling ahead. Do we have anyone from TV F&R on? Anyone who would like to make an announcement? Okay, I think they were still doing their updates. Still have video and everything else, so that's okay. Just wanted to give a spot for that. And the water district. Would anyone from the water district like to make an announcement?
Yeah, hey, Justin Dyke here, Tualatin Valley Water District. Just a couple quick announcements. Today is really timely with the topic of construction noise. We started a water main replacement on Oak Hills Drive. It'll continue up from Oak Hills Drive right near the BPA power lines out to 143rd Avenue over the next couple of months. So we'll be making updates to this CPO as that project evolves, and as well, we'll be getting ready for some traffic impacts once we get out to 143rd to tie into the transmission main out there for water service, but that'll be a couple months away. But just I want to give everyone a heads up that that's what's going on out in that neighborhood with our project, as well. With the return of fall weather means the return of proactive water main flushing. So you might see our crews out in your area anytime now once the rain starts and creeks get their natural water flow returning to them. We will also start doing some proactive water main flushing from sometime around now till sometime around spring when the rainy season dries up. And as well, I just want to put out a plug for our Talkin' Water series. It's a virtual webinar type event. We are able to host these every month or so on different topics. Next Wednesday, the 19th at noon, we will host Talkin' Water on winter preparation, how to prepare your home and your plumbing for the cold weather of winter. I'll put a link to that in the chat when I'm done here. And as well, if there's any other questions about water or your water service in the CPO7 area, happy to answer those now or in the chat.
And would you mind dropping your contact info in the chat too, or we can just so people know where to find you too? That'd be great.
Absolutely, happy to do it.
And I like those talk series. That's a really cool idea. I've been seeing the signs around there, so awesome.
Thank you. And with winter, it's it comes up quick, so we always ask people to get prepared early when the weather's still nice.
Nice, that's pretty cool. All right, boy, we were rocking. All right. Well, I think we can move into our main topic here of construction noise. Thank you very much. Getting through that quickly. Do we have all the right people on here? I think we do. Who is leading us off here?
So good evening. I was going to say good morning, then a good afternoon, but it's actually good evening. My name is Tom Eggleston. I'm the division manager for the Solid Waste and Recycling Division in the Health and Human Services Department. And as strange as it sounds, our division does actually administer the noise control code. So I'm happy to kick off this conversation. Mary, you had sent some questions and I saw those questions in the agenda as well. How would you prefer? I do have a presentation of about 6 slides that I could go through that kind of walks through the chapter 8.24, or we can just go straight to the questions. I think I'd leave it up to you, what you think's best.
Slides are a great place to start.
Okay, why don't I go ahead and do that and then we can go into questions. I'll try to go quick so we can leave a bunch of time for conversation. All right, so I'm sharing screen. Can you see it?
Yep.
Let me go into slideshow mode. All right, so talking about noise code. So Washington County Code Chapter 8.24 is the noise control code. And this is embedded in the health and safety section of the Washington County Code. So noise control, as I mentioned, is Washington County Code Chapter 8.24. And what 8.24 does is it regulates the making and creating of loud, unnecessary, or unusual noises in unincorporated Washington County. Important to note that this is an unincorporated Washington County Code. The cities all within the counties will have their own rules and regulations regarding noise control. So this is all pertains to unincorporated area, which I understand most of CPO7 is unincorporated up there in the Bethany area. This code is administered by the Solid Waste and Recycling Division in the Department of Health and Human Services. And it is also enforced by the Solid Waste and Recycling Code Enforcement Team, and also during the sheriff's office during after hours, because oftentimes noise is happening when our code enforcement staff are not on duty between 8 and 5. So there's general standards in the code. The code is not written in a way that it describes certain decibel levels or noise cannot reach a certain threshold before it becomes a violation. Our officers, our code enforcement officers and sheriff's deputies do not carry decibel meters to measure noise loudness or intensity in terms of defining whether or not there's a violation of code. The code does lay out certain criteria or standards by which a type of noise is evaluated. The volume of the noise, the intensity, the nature, origin, presence of background noise, whether the noise is audible from within a home or, per the code, a noise sensitive unit. The nature of the area, so the zoning of the area, the density of the inhabitation, so how dense the population is around the noise, the time of day, duration of the noise, how long it's going on for, and whether it's recurring, intermittent, or constant. So as you can imagine, this is a pretty exhaustive list of standards and criteria, and it's challenging for officers to identify specific acts that are not named in the code. So the code does go in to name specific acts that would be violation. They call prima facie violations. So on their face, these things are a quote unquote violation of the code. So horns or signaling devices except as a danger or warning, that's probably pretty tough to enforce as well. Radios, phonographs, music that's plainly audible from a public street or within a home between 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. Exhaust brakes except for an emergency stop. I do understand there's some case law that has made it challenging to enforce exhaust brake rules and regulations. There's a motor carrier enforcement team in the sheriff's office, and I know that we've had conversations about the difficulty and some case law regarding exhaust brakes. Yelling and shouting on public streets between 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. Construction noise between 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. And this is a big one that I know there's some questions about here. Pile drivers are called out between 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. I don't know how they're different from construction. And then unmuffled blowers and fans are also called out in the code. So there's also a bunch of exemptions in the county code. And this is important because these exemptions are related to mostly federal or state rules and regs that limit the county's ability to regulate these types of noise. So forestry and farming are pretty protected in the code. One of the classic things we hear a lot about is bird cannons in blueberry farms or wineries. And those are agricultural practices, and the bird cannons cannot be regulated by the county's code. Organized athletic events or other group activities. So if there's a football game at the high school on Friday night, those activities are exempted from the noise control code. Sounds caused by emergency response. So we're thinking ambulances and fire and police, regular vehicular traffic, and then sounds regulated by state or federal law. And those are mostly railroads and airports are the two examples there. The code does also exempt lawn and garden equipment And it has a broader range of hours than it would for, say, construction. From 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. it is allowable to use your garden equipment. So there is a process in the code to allow for variances from these noise standards. There's type 1 and type 2 variances. The difference between the type 1 and type 2 variance is that type 1 is less than 60 days in duration, and type 2 variance is more than 60 days in duration. These are usually, sorry, my office is getting broken into by a toddler, but looks like she's been intercepted. So these variances are normally used to allow larger public works projects or construction projects on roadways. So an example is an overpass project that needs to happen at night because it would interfere with traffic on a major roadway during the day. So in order to issue a variance, our code enforcement team in solid waste and recycling reviews applications, and they have to determine whether the variance will benefit the public generally. And the roadway project is a good example of this. The denial would significantly delay or increase the costs of a project. Again, mostly road projects here, and that they also deploy effective mitigation measures to prevent noise as much as they can to the neighbors. We often get requests for weddings and parties that want to go late into the night, and the noise code does not necessarily call out or name those as a type of activity can be varianced. We generally inform party planners that they should stop playing their loud music at 10 p.m. and invite their neighbors if they want to have their wedding on their property in rural Washington County. So there is not a noise variance process for those types of events. Again, enforcement, I can kind of go over here, solid waste and recycling code enforcement. Here's a phone number. We also have a website, WashingtonCountyRecycles.com. There's a report a problem feature on the side of the nav there. Also, if you go to the new Washington County homepage, there's the defaults to the report section, and there's a noise control button there, and that takes you to a complaint form that goes to our staff in the solid waste and recycling division. We do respond during business hours, and oftentimes construction noise, we can follow up with work sites and construction companies to make sure they're aware of the standards. And then if the noise is occurring after hours, the best way to get assistance is to do a direct call to the non-emergency sheriff's office. And I'm sure as our partners from the SO could tell us here, they might not be a super high profile or priority call, but they would certainly do what they can to respond to those, is what I understand. And I'll stop there and we can go into questions. I will try to stop screen sharing. Stop share. There we go. Anything you want to add? Is it Elliot? Is that your?
No, I think you covered it pretty well. If anyone has questions, I'm more than willing to answer.
All right. Well, cool. Yeah, thanks for that. So I guess our usual practice here is if you have a question you'd like to ask, just raise your hand in Zoom here and we will get you in. Anyone? Anyone? All right.
If there's no
Cool.
additional questions, I can run through the ones in the agenda and maybe we'll just do a quick answer on them. Melissa, do you have anything to add? I saw you come off mute.
Well, I didn't, I obviously didn't have a question. I thought you did a great job. But just, I guess, from, I'm Melissa DeLizer with Land Use and Transportation, and we are the ones that often will work with contractors to request variances through Health and Human Services for allowing us to do construction work at night. And the most significant reason we would work with someone for noise variance is because it reduces traffic impacts. And also night work can be done much more quickly than daytime work because of the general traffic volumes and how we can manage to not have to work around commute times, that kind of thing. So it really does stimulate a project. And those would be some examples where like night work would be preferred. 12 Sherwood Road, for example, is having a lot of night work on that project. And we do some paving. We also do some work, oddly, in the rural area. And that sometimes surprises people, but we will do night work in the rural areas because it's more convenient for farm vehicles if we can get some work done at night so it doesn't impede their availability to transport harvester equipment. But that wouldn't require a noise variance if it's in the rural unincorporated area and there are not any nearby neighbors. So I did what you told me, Gary. I answered all your questions.
Thank you, Melissa. This is helpful too. And you know, I think we're hearing here, land use and transportation really doesn't have a role in setting regulating or enforcing the noise standards. Oftentimes they are working on projects with contractors on big road projects that would be a customer of HHS in terms of getting a noise variance, those types of things.
Yeah. Correct.
So also some nuanced details that I think are important that Mary, I know you're interested in. The construction noise question comes up a lot. It's a little bit confusing because it deviates a little bit from the standards generally. So construction is per the code allowed between 7 and 7, Monday through Saturday. It is technically, the code says construction noise should not be happening on Sundays, and it should also not be happening on legal holidays. So that is the construction noise code standards. Again, you know, we do educate contractors when we learn about late night or early work. We often have crews showing up before 7, unloading equipment and making noise. And that can be something that our code enforcement team can follow up on. And if someone's working in the middle of the night, the sheriff's office can respond to those if they have the capacity. Let's see what these others. So the exceptions, we talked about the exceptions for variance, and emergency is named in the code. I don't, so if there's an emergency repair needed, they're allowed to work through that. And then the department responsible for enforcing the noise rules, we talked about the Health and Human Services Department and the Sheriff's Office are the 2 enforcement agencies for the noise code. And if you're who to call, you call the 503-846-3665 if you want to call someone during the daytime. And if you want to call in the evening after hours, you would call the non-emergency number. Please don't call 911. It would be 503-629-0111. And I think that covers most of it. And as far as I know, Mary, no, we are not, either the Sheriff's Office or HHS is not necessarily reporting back to land use and transportation when there's a noise violation or concern on a project or site.
So I do have a question. If
We have had deputies.
Whoa, I think we got some break in there.
yeah. So if an individual doesn't want to call the non-emergency number during off hours, is there a way they can document noise and then get back to Health and Human Services at a later date? Is there some way that they can communicate that there is a problem without having to involve the sheriff's office?
Yeah, so the best thing that could be done is just to fill out the noise complaint form that's on the county's website, and that would initiate a case with our enforcement officers. They can't necessarily issue citations based off not observing the violation themselves. But in these cases, we're rarely issuing citations to construction projects. Most of the time it's an education effort. So we're following up with the contractors or the person on site responsible for the job, making sure they're informed of the rules. And that our code enforcement can certainly do. If it's egregious and it continues to happen after they've been warned, and it really does need to be a non-emergency call for some kind of enforcement action to be taken.
So you don't necessarily communicate with land use and transportation when you do have a contractor that's breaking the rules?
We have had people communicate with us before. It's usually directly from the sheriff's department, though, if they get a complaint. I don't know that I could, and that's only happened. I'm thinking the most recent instance of this is we had a contractor who started early during the heat dome, and it truly was, I mean, it was a one-off. It was a case of, he had equipment coming in, but, didn't know what else to do and didn't realize that it was going to require any kind of variance or anything like that. And that was the only time I can remember us ever having gotten a call.
And that was likely for a road project, Melissa?
Actually, that was actually a developer who was building houses, some kind of subdivision or whatever. But again, it was a one-off, and he was trying to take advantage of, the cooler weather before the heat dome hit.
Yeah, we're generally not notifying LUT if there's a violation, like in a construction project like that. The violator is usually a sub, and we're working with the contractors and up to the general contractor. And we have our enforcement process that involves up to citation and notice of non-compliance that we kind of work directly with those actors on. If it's a road project and it's an LUT sponsored project, or it's a contracted project by LUT, we would work with the operations and roads department to make sure that they're managing their contractors adequately. So it's a little bit different. I think, I guess, Mary, I think trying to get at is, do we notify LUT that there's a developer that's breaking the rules in terms of their permit status and all of that kind of thing for their building permits? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
We don't
Um,
necessarily do that. We just rely on the enforcement mechanisms in the noise control code, not necessarily trying to go after the development permit in a sense.
But if you had a repeat contractor that was a problem, you'd probably reach back to
Sure.
LUT at that
Yeah.
point. So another question that I have, and it was actually something that came up in our neighborhood, was materials were being delivered before 7 a.m. in the morning, and that can be quite noisy. They were also servicing construction vehicles prior to 7 a.m. And that's considered to be construction activities, is it not?
Yeah. So the code says construction or repairing of structures, the erection, including excavating, demolition, alteration, or repair of any structure. So I would say some of that is associated with the kind of, the excavation or repair of equipment and unloading. Let me see if there's another definition.
Well, potentially that could fall under just the general noise ordinance as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, sure. I think so. We do most of our early morning construction noise complaints are from unloading equipment and like dropping lumber and dropping, building supplies. That does generate quite a bit of noise. And so that is considered part of the construction process for sure.
So what about garbage trucks before 7 a.m.? Is that something that is exempt?
So garbage trucks are in the solid waste code. Garbage trucks are allowed to start at 6 a.m., which is a little bit different. And that's primarily because of the traffic impacts with rush hour to get them out a little early. There is, we have been navigating the heat related issues over this summer in particular. There was a lot of heat days over 95 with the heat index. And some of the transfer stations at Metro are starting to close early at like 1 p.m. when it's going to be over 95 heat index. And so that is tough for the garbage trucks when they get out on the road and the transfer station closes. So they have been getting early start authorizations up to 5 a.m. a couple times this summer. They do have to request that from the county. They can't just assume it. And we are working on some more standard protocols with Metro and our regional partners to make sure we're being more consistent with early starts in response to heat events.
So Patty, I actually reached out to you after there was construction activity in North Bethany on Labor Day weekend. And the person that called the non-emergency line was called back by a deputy, and the deputy told her that there weren't rules, they were old rules and they weren't being complied, or they didn't need to comply with the no construction activity on holidays. Were you able to track that down and find out why this individual was given bad information?
No, unfortunately, we weren't able to find out where they got that information from specifically. If they got it from us, they didn't know the deputy. But maybe Deputy Hart could speak to that. Where they would, I mean, if it was on a weekend, I'm not sure who they talked to. That was the problem.
Well, it was a holiday. It was Memorial Day.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So the question is where that deputy would have gotten that information?
Correct. And why he wasn't able to communicate the correct information.
I can't speak for the other deputy. Generally speaking, when we look at noise complaints, because we don't deal with them as much as other calls. Generally speaking, what we look at is the general noise complaint. But if that deputy had information from someone else because it was a holiday, then that would be a question for that deputy. I'm not entirely sure where he would get that information or bad information from.
Well, I guess the question is, do you feel like you've been adequately trained on the construction noise issue and what the rules are there? And is that something that the sheriff's office needs to do a better job of training their deputies with?
I believe we're adequately trained in that. Like I said, I can't speak for the deputy that did that. but we could be aware as for this meeting about that.
Okay, thank you.
I will add, Marion, this question did come up when you and I were in contact a couple weeks ago, and I checked in with a couple folks over in the civil unit, and they've run down, trying to understand where that miscommunication could have came from. And I think just that is an opportunity for everyone to learn a little bit more too. So just these kinds of conversations help as well. It was confirmed to me that they're not aware of anything that limits or restricts the sheriff's office's ability to enforce on those noise standards. So I think it was probably a miscommunication.
We actually have a couple people that have hands raised. Melissa, were you first?
I don't know if I was first or not, and I apologize. My internet's really unstable, so I turned off my camera. So apologies for that. I just wanted to say too, during weather emergencies, most notably snow and ice, LUT will get complaints about noise, and it's plows, lights associated with plows, noise associated with plows, noise associated with sand trucks. As far as I know, there are no restrictions at all regarding when we can and can't address ice and snow situations. So just throwing that out there. So if you're disturbed by the noise from a plow, it's a health and safety issue as far as I mean. Correct me if you know something different, Tom.
The hearts of many school children just fell right now. All right. Sergeant Jan, is that, hopefully I pronounced your name right? You're welcome to speak.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we got you.
Hey, thanks, Mary, for your question. Hey, I am one of the Bethany sergeants, and as far as training, there's so much literature in that code book, and so as far as dedicated training for it, it's pretty tough to do. So what I will do, thank you for the reminder. I will send out the link to the code book so we can ensure that every deputy out there has, the exact resource that they need when dealing with these types of calls. So sorry about that. I don't know where that information came from, but I will ensure that at least everybody in the Bethany office, to include countywide, has that link in the update.
Thank you, much appreciated, particularly because there is so much construction going on in North Bethany. And that was where the concern was raised, was someone who lived in North Bethany, and she was kind of like, I'm having to deal with this every day. Don't I at least get one day without noise?
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate that. Cool. Okay. Well, we've had some good comments here. We'll give a round here. There's been a lot of discussion. So if anyone does have any further questions in the attendee list, please do raise your hand. I'll pause here for a brief moment. I do see one hand. Maura, I see you, and you should be able to talk.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. I wanted to know regarding, I know we spoke about the noise, but also a dust is a big issue over here on our backyards and also inside the houses. So I don't know if it's also related to your department, but I would definitely love to know who's supposed to deal with that.
So no question is noise and dust, it sounds like. Construction related, both?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'd be curious as well. Same place, Tom, or is it?
Well, we don't have.
As far as
I was gonna say Melissa might have a better answer. Go ahead, Melissa.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, have any noise or dust control out during daytime hours between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. We follow the ordinance. And as far as dust control, I don't know what to tell you. You can get, there's dust from any kind of construction project. It's just what it is. And I understand that it's not really all that, it's not convenient and it's not pleasant, but it is just a fact of construction. Like being in the rural area where you've got dust from, agricultural activities as well. There's just not, it's just part of the process.
Yeah, I think, I mean, when the builder, whoever was doing the construction originally planned it, it seems like, I mean, you might be able to see what they plan to do as far as controlling measures for things like erosion and water runoff and maybe dust. I don't know, but yeah, that's interesting.
So Melissa, isn't there a responsibility to make sure that the road
But
stays free?
if you're talking about just dust, you're cutting out. I'm sorry, my internet is terrible.
Isn't there a responsibility for developers to be sure that the roads are kept free of dirt that gets drug onto the road from the construction site? Which again, I think is someplace that
Absolutely, but I didn't understand. That's not the same thing as dust.
it's not that
And maybe I'm misunderstanding the question. Okay, yeah, they're supposed to keep the roads relatively free of any kind of building debris. Now that doesn't mean that there's not going to be dirt from trucks getting onto the road, because I mean they would be doing nothing but, you know, there's going to be dust on the road during any kind of construction project in any area. And honestly, I'm going to say too, you can have that when your neighbor's lawn is being redone. So, I mean, it happens, but it can't be egregious. But if you're talking about, I was talking about just plain like dust as in, you know, floating in the air kind of thing. There's not, we don't restrict that.
but sometimes dragging the dirt from the construction site onto the road can actually help create more dust. So that's one thing that is done to help remove that portion of the dust.
Well, if you move the dust off the road, you would be pushing the dust back onto the property. So that it's a question of where you want the dust. But my was the dust is in the air, not just street.
Yeah.
So if you want to push it off the road and onto the property, it's still in the air. It's just 3 feet over.
Well, except for usually when they clean the roads, they clean it with water, which means that it isn't creating more dust as they clean it.
No, that would be creating mud, because when the trucks drive they're driving through the mud. I mean, there isn't an easy answer here, and it's not really practical to make a construction crew clear, street sweep a road every day of the project.
Well, it sounds like more, unless as long as they're working during the proper hours, it sounds like that's the starting point there. I hope
Yes.
the dust situation gets better rapidly for you. But thanks for asking the question too. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. That is really helpful, but yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions from the audience? If not, I don't have that, but no more hands. Okay. All right. Well, thanks so much for our presenters here. I appreciate that. Thanks so much for swinging by and for clarifying that topic as well.
Yeah, thank you all very much. And I can email my address,
Yes.
send my email address and phone number to Mary, and please feel free to share it with anybody that has any follow-up questions. We'd be happy to talk through the noise part of things.
You could also add your contact information to the chat.
I will do that right now.
That would be awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. You all have a really good evening.
You as well. Thanks. All right. I see Liana on. The next topic is yours, THPRD. And Bethany Lake Park, I see in there as well. And you are muted.
There we go.
There we go.
Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, I'll provide our update for our NACs and CPOs for the month. We do have fall registration underway, so sign up now for fall classes and programs. Annual passes, like the annual pass sales are back. So as of this month, we're once again selling annual passes, so you can stop by a facility or visit online to learn more. We have something not sure how many people really know about, but there's something called Healthcare Partners Program. THPRD is networked with area insurance providers. So folks may be eligible to receive free monthly admission to facilities by having a Healthcare Partners Pass paid for by insurance company, especially those of us who are 55 and over qualified. So it's something that you can look into with your insurance if it's something you're excited about maybe following up on. And then also if you need any help on our end, you can always give us a call at one of our centers. Yeah, and then we are, let's see, it's active aging. We had active aging week activities last month. So thanks for any of you who are able to make it to any of those events. They were really fun. We also have middle school cross country registration open right now. So coaches and volunteers are still needed if you're interested in coaching or volunteering for that program. We would love to have you. And then the last thing I wanted to mention on our updates, the Teach Purity Advisory and Budget Committee recruitment is happening right now. So if you're interested in serving on an advisory committee with Teach Purity or a budget committee with Teach Purity, we would love to have you apply. We are currently recruiting volunteers to serve on those committees, and applications are being accepted now through October 24th for the 2023 calendar appointments. And if it's all right, what I'd like to do, I believe I have access to the chat. I'd like to put the link there to the advisory and budget committee applications in case anyone's interested. So I'm going to add that to the chat. And those are the updates for the district. We also just want to promote, make sure that any of you, if any of you haven't yet already, to make sure to go to the Abbey Creek webpage and complete the survey that's open right now for Abbey Creek Park. We're looking to add more amenities to that park, so we would love your input from you and your neighbors. We've got a lot of input so far, which has been really helpful. A very wide variety of input. That's kind of very diverse. So we have a lot of work ahead of us to finalize our concept plan based on that input. So thank you so much to any of you who have already taken that survey. I'm also going to put the webpage for that project in the chat as well, in case anyone would like to take that survey. And that is all I have for you tonight, unless there are any questions for me.
Any questions on your parks?
Actually, I do have a question. Were we supposed to get an update on the Bethany Lake Park? Is that?
Oh,
I thought that was why we moved to later in the agenda.
anything exciting going on there?
Oh, is that with Crystal? Is that the one you're referring to?
I believe so. I believe so. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Well, I apologize. I didn't realize that she was meant to be here tonight. I think she got maybe her wires, or we got our wires crossed, but let me check on that because I may have one. So
Okay.
let me do a quick check. I
have a question. Can you please repeat what you were saying about the aging? Something you said, and somehow your voice, I couldn't hear what you were saying.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, so we do have active aging events and activities that happen in the month of September. So I was just thinking anyone who was able to come out for that. But in addition to that, we also have a health, we support the Healthcare Partners program. So especially for folks who are 55 or better, but really a lot of people qualify through insurance. So that's called Healthcare Partners, and you can inquire about it through your insurance. And a lot of people are eligible for to receive free monthly admissions.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Norma G has her hand up.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. I just wanted to comment. I came to this meeting actually because I wanted to hear about the Bethany Lake improvements. So I'm crossing my fingers that you're finding something. And then it looks like the chat is on. The chat is disabled for your audience though. And so I was waiting for this information, and it showed up just moments ago. So thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I realize sometimes we get mixed up between host and panelist messages, and then sometimes they need to go to everyone. So I was just rebroadcasting stuff. So I think I got everything out there.
Thank you.
Of course.
right. And I am not finding anything yet.
Would it make sense?
I think I found something. Okay, I do have an update, at least what I can share for now. How does that sound? And then if we need follow-up information, I will just ensure that we get Crystal present for the next meeting for any follow-up. How does that sound, Mary?
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. Okay. So staff are working to maintain the soft surface trails at, oh, you know what? This is Bannister Creek. I don't think this is what you're looking for. Shoot. You know what? I apologize. I do not have any updates from Crystal on Bethany Creek Park.
And she specifically asked for agenda time, and I thought we had.
No, you're totally right. You are absolutely right. And I'm going back through looking. No, I'm unfortunately, I apologize. I do not have anything from Crystal.
So can you post Crystal's information in the chat, and then Norma
Absolutely
can reach out directly to Crystal?
Yes. Yeah. And I apologize. That's really, I imagine that's frustrating. Okay. All right, I'm adding her email and phone number here.
So Andrew, I think we probably can go ahead with starting on PCC Rock Creek, or actually it's PCC, not just Rock Creek. And Alfredo Moreno is
awesome.
Going to do that presentation.
Okay, and I will get, yeah, I see Crystal's. Thanks for posting her information here. I'll put that on the chat to everyone here.
Thank you very much. And again, I apologize. I will check in with Crystal and see what's going on there. And
no problem.
Thank you for your time in the meantime.
No problem. And everyone will get updates out to you. I know some people joined just for that, so I appreciate your patience. Hopefully there was some other things of value here, and yeah, we'll get that out to you as well. All right, yeah, let's roll along. Okay. Thanks, Liana. I appreciate that update. Let's go ahead.
Okay, it must be my turn.
The education bond measure, please.
All right. Well, hello everyone. I'm Alfredo Moreno, and I'm the West Side Community Relations Manager for Portland Community College, and I'm based at the Rock Creek campus, but cover pretty much the entire West Side west of the Willamette River for the college. So throughout Washington County and Columbia County, Yamhill County, etc. So I am just here to very quickly talk to you about the upcoming PCC education bond. I have thrown my contact info and a link to the bond website in the chat. I'm not sure if everyone can see that or not, but if not, if y'all could help me broadcast that out, thank you.
I got it, don't worry.
Okay, so I'm just gonna really quickly share a few slides here. And let's see here, we'll get that going. Okay. Some really quick background. Portland Community College is the largest higher education institution in the state of Oregon. We are at about 50,000 students. And PCC also serves the most traditionally underrepresented students in the state as well. So this upcoming bond measure is all about just increasing opportunity for students, helping build workforce development programs, and a sizable impact will be felt on the West Side and on the Rock Creek campus in particular. What the bond is intended to fund is learning spaces with new technology that allows for greater hybrid instruction, updating technology and equipment for job training spaces, redeveloping aging buildings, and increasing facility lifespan and efficiency. So this is a $450 million bond measure. It is expected to maintain the current tax rate as PCC pays down its current obligations. And the specifics are at the Rock Creek campus, Building 2 is one of the original buildings on the campus, dates back to the mid-70s, and it is nearing the end of its lifespan. It houses PCC's building construction technology programs, auto collision repair technology, welding, and diesel repair technology are all housed in Building 2, as well as classrooms for a variety of disciplines. So if passed, the bond would provide funding to replace Building 2 and add 3 buildings to house those career technical education programs. Also in Southwest Washington County at the Sylvania, I'm sorry, not Washington County, and Southwest Portland, near Washington County, next to Tigard, the Sylvania campus would see a renovation to the communications technology building, also a 50-year-old building, renovation to the west side of the Sylvania Health Technology building, and also would allow the college to expand its career tech workforce development programs in Washington County, specifically in Hillsborough, where there are plans to explore adding capacity to healthcare field training in partnership with some other organizations in the Hillsborough area. Also, this bond would have a big impact on accessibility upgrades and deferred maintenance, IT, safety, and security as well. And it is important to note this isn't the bond would serve all students throughout the district, which ranges from the far east side of Portland up to Columbia County and the Newburgh Center in Yamhill County. Essentially, this would just supports student opportunity in all of those areas. Specifically on the east side would allow for planning for future needs at the Cascade campus in North Portland and the Southeast campus. That is essentially it. I'm happy to answer any questions if anybody has them. Otherwise, you should have the link to the bond measure if you'd like to explore on your own. But if there are any questions, I'm happy to take them.
Right on. Thank you for that. Yeah, same thing. If you have any questions, please raise your hand at this time. I saw one go up and down.
Okay.
Maybe. Jody, did you want to ask a question? You should be able to talk.
So there's talk about additional training in the high-tech field that has come out of the semiconductor workforce. Is that part of your planning for PCC or not?
This particular bond is this is not to build anything directly related to that. It does allow for capacity across the board and just greater access to all of those. Our semiconductor trainings and on-ramp programs are happening at the Willow Creek Center, which is on 185th and Baseline. So I guess my answer would be this doesn't directly impact that, but that work is ongoing and ramping up as we speak.
All right, cool. All right. Well, thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Okay. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Thanks for stopping by. All right, and our last agenda item on here is from Beaverton School District. The floor is yours, but you are muted. There
Good
we go.
evening, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Sunita Garg, and I am the Beaverton School District Board Member for Zone 4. Today, I'm going to be presenting about a levy option renewal that's coming up in the November's ballot. Just to talk about, we had a bond renewal passed in May, and now we have a levy renewal. So just to make a talk about a little bit of difference, bond is more for buildings and levy is for learning. And this particular levy currently pays for 286 teachers in our district. In 2012, there was most of the funding for the school district comes from the state, and we had a lot of budget cuts and teachers were let go. So in 2013, a levy was passed that paid for over 200 teachers, and we were able to hire back those teachers. The levy term was 5 years. It was renewed in 2018, and it is set to expire in June of 2023. So we are trying to get a renewal. There won't be a tax rate increase. The current tax rate is $1.25 per $1,000 of assessed value. We expect to collect about estimated of $205 million in a term of 5 years. BSD has a short video that I would like to play, and I hope it plays properly because the sound wasn't playing earlier, so I'm going to try, but it has some subtitles. So let me see if it will behave this time.
You might need to, let's see. Since you're sharing, you might need to click the share audio and then also
Okay.
the optimize video. Or I can do it too if you prefer.
Can I give you the link and can you do that for me?
I
Can you play
absolutely can. Yep.
Yeah, let me do that. That would be better.
Okay. I will go ahead and share there.
Let me go to my stop share and in the chat.
There we go.
Let's see.
Hopefully you all can see my screen.
Oh, are you already sharing the thing? Are you
am.
sharing the video?
Let me know if you can hear this.
In
as
June
well.
2023, the
I can
current
hear it,
local
yes.
option levy that voters in the Beaverton School District passed to pay for
Tell me how you'd like to
teachers
do
in
it, but-
2013 and again
You
in
can do it.
2018
You can go ahead and
will
play it.
expire.
Okay.
This November, voters will have the opportunity to vote on whether to renew that levy and continue to pay the same tax rate. The renewal would raise about $205 million over 5 years and would pay for approximately 286 teachers working at every school across the district. This proposed levy renewal would maintain the current tax rate of $1.25 per $1,000 of assessed property value. The owner of a house with an average assessed value of around $303,000 would continue to pay approximately $32 per month, or about $379 per year. You may be asking, didn't we just pass another measure for schools? Yes, in May 2022, voters passed a $723 million bond measure. Those funds will be used for capital construction projects over the next 6 years, including 2 school rebuilds, new ventilation systems, and seismic upgrades. By Oregon law, bond funds cannot be used to fund teachers or school programs. That's why the school board has referred the proposed levy renewal to voters. How many levy-funded teachers are at each school? Well, to find out that information, please head to our levy webpage and take a look at this map. If the proposed levy renewal does not pass, the current property tax rate would not be assessed. The district would not receive about $39 million to fund approximately 286 teaching positions starting in the 2023-2024 school year. Election Day is on Tuesday, November 8th. The ballot measure will likely be on the back side of your ballot. Still have questions? Feel free to submit them on our levy webpage by hovering over the question mark.
Thank you so much for playing the video, Andrew.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. So if anybody has any questions about the levy, please ask. There is another website that I would like to, there's the Beaverton School District website, which has the levy information, and you can ask questions, you can endorse for the levy. But there is also another website, which is yesforbeavertonschools.org. If you want to do more than just voting, where you can, if you can help spread the word, volunteer, donate for the campaigning costs, that website allows you to do that. So if you have any questions, please ask now.
Okay. Yeah, we'll take questions, and then yeah, if you think about that, or if you'd like to put the website in chat there, that'll go out to everyone too. Cool. Raise your hand if you have a question, if you'd like to ask one. All right. Short and succinct. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
thanks
Please
for your
vote
time.
yes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's very important.
All right. Well, hey, thanks. That's our last agenda item. I appreciate all of our presenters today. Thank you for your time and for coming at this late hour. So thank you again, and we will move to adjourn.
Good night.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night. We do
And if
have our
anybody-
steering committee
Yep.
here if you'd like to stick around. Anyone who sticks around, I'll promote you to panelist. So we'll take that as interest. Otherwise, have a great night. I'm going to stop recording.